What's up, everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to MX Simulator, where today we are going to be reviewing the 2024 Southwick National as we play MX Simulator and highlight some of the things that happened over the weekend. I did not go to Southwick this time IRL, but still watch it on TV like all of you fine people at home, and certainly have some thoughts on many different topics ranging from championship fights and beyond. So let's jump in, shall we, and talk about the Southwick National. First of all, let's go with the 450 class. Jet Lawrence gets his fourth win of the season from 5 rounds. He still does not have the points lead, though, as the mixed results on the day. His brother Hunter keeps it by 3 points over Jet and Chase Sexton, who are now tied for second in the standings. And look, I said this after High Point. I said it after High Point that I believe Jet Lawrence is going to win this championship, hands down. He's already in a great position with himself, the body, the bike, everything like that. And that was before a 2-week break. So then come back from the 2-week break, and he looked even better maybe than I expected in the first moto. Yes, Hunter kept it fairly close. It wasn't like he got away, but it looked kind of like the Jet who managed motos that we used to see all the time. And so I was like, okay, that's certainly going to be alarming for the rest of the field if this is what he can do every moto from this point onward. But now the second moto, we have question marks again, because he gets into the lead at a certain point early in the moto. His brother Hunter comes up, catches and passes him, and kind of honestly walked away from him for a little bit. And then Hunter is going to say bike problems, this, whatever he is going to say that basically doesn't result in I got tired, but he did get tired in my opinion. He was putting in a lot of effort to get into the lead in the first place. Once he got into the lead and tried to settle into a pace, I don't think he was comfortable. And at that point, you start getting a little bit fatigued because you're uncomfortable leading, trying to manage that, and he slipped back all the way back to third. While that was happening and Jet was going back around, or trying to get back around his brother, Chase Sexton caught on fire randomly. It's the first time, I feel like, quite honestly, even including the second moto at High Point, that we've really seen the Chase Sexton we saw in the second moto at Hangtown since Hangtown. That was no holds barred, just decided I'm going to go and win this race, and it doesn't matter. Which to me, the whole second moto was a conundrum, because it started off with Jet leading and Chase on him, and Chase giving him all kinds of heat for the first lap, and then just disappearing behind Hunter. Hunter gets Chase on the second lap of the race, I think it was, maybe third. And Hunter kind of takes off and runs down Jet and passes him for the lead, and then, off he went for a little bit. But I was confused because Chase early in the moto looked so feisty and then immediately went to either uncomfortable or maybe he was trying to race manage the pace. That's at least what they were saying on the broadcast. Like Weege and Stu and those guys were all saying, that Sexton was giving a masterclass in race management because he backed off the pace, waited for things to come back to him, then started running ridiculous lap times. And we ran at 2:16 while everyone else is in the 2:20s, 2:22, 2:24 range. So he certainly figured it out. I just am surprised that it looked so good early, then it didn't look so good, then it looked amazing, and he wins the second moto. Like, I am further away from understanding the enigma that is Chase Sexton, I think, than I've ever been. I'm quite confused how sometimes it can be go from dead last to win, or go from pretty far back in third place to walking by the Lawrence brothers relatively easily. And then some motos he finishes 38 seconds down randomly. I don't get it. I don't think many other people get it at this point. And I like, Chase has always been so good about saying, we're having this issue, or I'm personally struggling with this. It's not a team thing, it's a me thing, or something like that. So I'm not necessarily saying, it's bad or whatever, but I am starting to sort of fall in line a little bit with the people who criticize Chase in that he's just unreadable. Like, there's no consistency, because he'll tell us one week, the bike is great, I'm great, everything's great, and then he'll go 5-6 at Thunder Valley, and it's back to, struggle time, gets, 38 seconds put on him in the first moto High Point, then damn near wins the second moto after a slight change. Then we come out at Southwick 2 weeks later, again, didn't have the pace in the first moto, just straight up didn't. Second moto, had the pace, didn't have the pace, had the pace again. I don't know. I honestly, Redbud, it's his home race coming up this next week. Throw a dartboard at first to third. I don't know where he lands. I really don't. He could be amazing and go 1-1. He could be mediocre and go 3-3. He could be mediocre and amazing and go 3-1 like he did this past weekend. I don't know. I'm lost on Chase Sexton, which is why, back to my original point, I still believe that this is Jet Lawrence's championship to lose. He has proven time and time again, even battling injury and even being fatigued and tired, still dealing with the shoulder problems in this second moto, that he is perfectly fine at managing a championship. Because, I mean, this weekend he was terrible in the second moto. Like halfway through, he was really struggling. And instead of completely shelling up and losing spots to not only Sexton and his brother Hunter and Aaron Plessinger, which could have possibly happened, he, backed off the pace of Chase, realized he was not going to be able to run with him for the lead, and managed his own pace until the end to maintain second. Narrowly, but he maintained second, which is crucial because he still won the overall. He still gained points in the championship, and all he's done since his massive crash at Hangtown is claw points back. So earlier when he was 24 behind Chase and deep in the championship after the crash at Hangtown, I was skeptical. I figured he would win a bulk majority of the races moving forward, but it would maybe take a little bit of time. Didn't expect him to win Thunder Valley. Didn't expect him to go 1-1 at High Point. He has finished no worse than second since his sixth at Hangtown in the second moto, while he was definitely ailing and had a chunk taken out of his hip. And the shoulder's bothering him, but he's still winning nationals. So I don't... It's great that this title fight is 3 points apart halfway. It's awesome. I kind of have a feeling it's not going to stay that way for much longer, because at some point Hunter is going to have a big moment. Chase is going to have one of these. He's had 7 crashes this year. He's going to have one of them be a little bit bigger than just a tip over, I feel like, at some point. And then, before you know it, Jet's got a big championship lead. That's my opinion on it. Some people may have a different opinion, but the way that Jet rode that track in the first moto, even while ailing, kind of proves he is still the best of the class. As much as Chase and Hunter have kept him close, I'm still pretty much all aboard the Jet train to claim this title again. Or the Jet plane. Jet plane would be better than the Jet train. All aboard, choo-choo. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of how I view this 450 class. I'd be curious to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did your mind change at all with Sexton again? Because, look, as great as the second moto was, I don't know. Could he finish 5th at Redbud? Maybe. Who knows? But maybe it changed your mind. Maybe you guys think he's back. Who the heck knows? Behind that, obviously, it's kind of a free-for-all. Aaron Plessinger had a rough first moto, ends up getting 4th in the second moto, and was probably the closest to that lead group we've seen anybody be since Hangtown, when Anderson and Plessinger obviously were right up there in the mix. But I feel like it's kind of just the Chase Hunter Jet train that's been rolling along most of the season, and I think that trend continues. But cool to see AP look a little bit better. We're losing Justin Barsha for a little bit. Obviously, he's been dealing with quite a few leg/knee issues. Says that it's not torn or anything along those lines, but it's going to need to go get some, rest and get everything healed up so he can be back for SMX, because these guys care a lot about SMX now, man. The money that is available on the line for them to win is critical for them, and I don't blame them one bit. So to go get rest and make sure he's back for SMX will be huge. Speaking of back for SMX, Cooper Webb back on the bike this past week, did a little bit of turn track riding. He is getting geared up and potentially could make a comeback before the end of outdoors. Team manager at Star Racing Yamaha, Jeremy Coker, has expressed a few times that he hopes to have both Webb and Eli Tomac back before the season is done. So hopefully that is the case, and we'll see Webb and Tomac back on the gate by Unadilla, Butts Creek grounds or so. They both would like to be on the Motocross of Nations team as well, as far as I've heard, so keep an ear out for that. Besides that, though, I don't know. Rest of the field is kind of up and down. Good day for Dylan Ferrandis. I think he was 5th overall. Another 4th overall for Justin Cooper. He's been solid, but obviously not as good as the lead trio, and that's kind of the 450 class right now. The 3 guys and then a bit of a gap, and we got a championship fight, that's for sure, but I still am leaning the direction of Jet Lawrence. All right, let's talk about 250 class halfway through this video here. Hayden Deegan gets another win. Goes 1-2 on the day. And had to fight for it, no question about it. Probably could have went 1-1. Should have went 1-1, I guess you could say. But the championship is gone. I've said this, I think, after High Point as well. Dude, who's going to catch him? Honestly, he's going to keep doing this because he even crashed again kind of heavily from the lead. It wasn't the smallest crash ever. Picked it back up and still got back to second. The same thing he did at Hangtown. Flipping through the air from the lead. Got up in second, still finished second. the dude is unreal. Like, he's just reached another level to be the elite of the elite in this 250 class. And that was everyone's opportunity, man. Like, the door flung wide open. You're Tom Vial. You have a moto win sitting in the palm of your hands, an overall win sitting in the palm of your hands as well. Joe Shimoda did take advantage of it, did win the moto, but almost didn't. Deegan was right there and backed off the challenge after he realized he was going to win the overall. And Shimoda's kind of a non-factor, at least for the championship fights, so didn't need to beat him. But yeah, like, those guys should have taken advantage of that. So for those of you that don't understand the situation, Hayden Deegan won the first moto pretty convincingly, in my opinion. Led every lap, kept a pretty steady gap over the rest of the field for the most time. It wasn't really like he was ever challenged. Like, they were close, but not really. So in my opinion, I look at that as like a dominating moto win, because he basically just kept them as far as he needed to keep them and won. But from that point on, Moto 2 was chaotic. He gets the start battling with Levi Kitchen down the first straightaway, had the scrub of a lifetime into the kind of the back section by the old finish line jump over there, goes off that single, which I'll point out here in a few minutes because we're like a turn, 3-4 turns away from it. Crazy scrub, awesome save, goes into the lead, leads for a little bit, then Vial starts catching him. So then I'm kind of like rubbing my hands together like, all right, like finally Vial's showing some fire. Like, we got a little bit of, French connection going on out here with the number 16 machine. And starts putting some pressure on Deegan. I don't think it was pressure induced, but Deegan did go down all by himself from the lead in the corner. 2 corners after this, I was just about to show off the scrub single and then the crash that Deegan had in the corner after that. But yeah, like, it was just an unforced error, I guess, really. Like, I don't think it was Vial putting pressure on him. Would he have crashed without Vial there? I don't know. That's a single jump right there, by the way, that he was doing that scrub off of. And then after you come off the top of this hill right here, you come down this hill and went to the outside. Vial was right on him, tucked the front end and went down. So Vial goes by. Vial kind of starts taking off with the lead a little bit, puts about 5-6 seconds on the rest of them. Joe Shimoda was moving into second place in the process. And I kind of thought, all right, status quo. Like, maybe Deegan gets back onto the podium in this moto. But Vial wins the overall. He's going to gain a few championship points. And hey, maybe that turns a page just a little bit. But no, Deegan just started chipping away, got around Kitchen, I think he got around Jordan Smith and Savachi as well to get into the top 5. Before you know it, he's passed his way up into third again and was just kind of, at that point, I think almost settling for third. I don't want to say settling, but it didn't seem like he was really making massive inroads on Shimoda. And then Vial started making some mistakes, and Shimoda started catching Vial. And then before you know it, Deegan put in a couple hot laps and was catching both of them. And then we had a 3-rider battle for the lead going on out of nowhere when Deegan at one point was like 10-15 seconds behind Vial after his crash. So to me, it was like, what the heck? How did Vial blow this? He got stuck behind a couple lappers, but that, he should have walked that moto win home, in my opinion. Like, it's a sand track. He's a GP guy. Is sand his most comfortable surface? No. But is he better than the Americans in the sand? I would say yes. So I thought for sure he would walk away with it. He didn't. Those guys caught him. Deegan started putting the heat on Shimoda. Shimoda responded, didn't let Deegan go by, then went and caught and passed Vial for the lead. Then Vial and Deegan tussled for a little bit. Deegan went by him, and then Vial on the final lap, trying to get back by Deegan, crashed, or no, he was in second, and crashed all by himself. And Deegan was already in a position to win the overall with a 1-3 versus a 2-2 out of Vial. But then he gets a 1-2 score. Didn't need to pass Shimoda to win the overall or really much for the championship fight. So wins anyway. 1-2 scores. Shimoda wins the second moto, his first moto win of the year. And yeah, this is Hayden Deegan's championship. Sorry, not sorry. Everyone else has kind of blown it at this point. If you're Kitchen, if you're Vial, if you're Chance Hymas, Ty Masterpool, I don't care who your name is, you didn't consistently knock off enough points to start the season. And now Deegan can more or less manage it from here. He has a 42-point championship lead, I think. We're already almost a full race distance, not even a moto, but a race distance up on the rest of the field. We're getting into territory where it's like, we 5 rounds from now, is he wrapping this thing up early? Maybe so. So I definitely think this is Deegan's title, no question about it. He could crash it away, but I don't really see that happening because he keeps crashing and being fine. So definitely think Deegan's to lose at that point. Behind that, it's a fun battle. Vial is only 1 point behind Chance Hymas now. Hymas had his first moto all year outside of the top 4 when he finished, I think it was 5th in the second moto. Went 3-5 on the day. And gets 4th overall, another very strong result. Lost quite a bit of championship points to Deegan, so like I said, now he's 42 points back. But yeah, Vial and him now separated by just 1 point. That's kind of a cool little bit of a fight brewing. Shimoda starting to hit his stride, which is, I think, good to see. Like, a lot of people have been doubting Shimoda. Again, I think I talked about this already, but one thing that no one has seemingly talked about with Shimoda is he's been quite injured throughout most of the start of Nationals, and wasn't really limping in the last few rounds that I had been to, but definitely at the start of the year was limping, couldn't even really get up to the stage at Paula without a good limp. He, after the main event in Salt Lake City, most random thing ever, he smashed his leg on a tow hitch, allegedly, and quite severely damaged his like ankle shin area. And so he only rode the bike once before Nationals started, was very low on the fitness department because he couldn't put in as much weight or pressure on that leg, and was quite far behind the 8 ball in my opinion. So this is starting to get back to kind of the more normal Shimoda I expected to see. And honestly, the first moto, even though he got 9th, which doesn't look good on paper, he went from down in the first turn in like 35th place to 9th, and then wins the second moto. So obviously, towards the end of the season last year, he challenged Deegan for the SMX title. He was winning a lot of motos, or some motos at least, towards the end of the outdoors last year. I think we're starting to see that again, and I know that the narrative and the stereotype around Shimoda more or less is that this is what he does, starts the championship slow, then starts winning races and stuff like that, and gets into gear midway on. But I think this time it literally was a case of dealing with an injury early that probably dashed any chance that he had at a title, and probably also affected his confidence in himself and his abilities a little bit. And now he doesn't have a chance at winning the title, but can go out and win motos like he just did. So, but anyway, like I said, cool to see him back up there, kind of mixing it up with those guys. Yeah, what else happened? Time Masterpool, a little bit of an off day. Another off day for Levi Kitchen. Levi Kitchen, again, I expected more through the middle stages of this championship, and it's been far from it. It's kind of gone back to old Levi a little bit, but then this is definitely a bit of a change of pace, because old Levi used to like start in the 8th and finish 8th, and then start in the lead and win on his star bike. But this time he started in the lead at the second moto and was battling up at the front and slipped all the way back to 7th or something in that second moto. So not been good, certainly not what he expects of himself, and I know he's been quite frustrated with it. So I hope for his sake he can turn it around, because he obviously was a lot of fun factoring in this championship fight early on, and I'd like to see him at least win some motos. Maybe when we get back to Washougal would be kind of cool. We'll see with that. But yeah, that's kind of my synopsis right now. I think it's quite obvious that Deegan's going to be champion in the 250 class, and I think it's pretty obvious that Jet's going to win in the 450 class again. But I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. That's my question of the day. If you had to pick the title winners, 6 rounds to go right now, who are you picking? And on top of that, if you add on a little bit of context to it, is it clear in both classes who is going to win, or do you still have a little bit up in the air about both? But that is the Southwick National review. Here as we play MX Simulator, fun track by the Race Factor Gaming track crew. And shout out to Jet Lawrence, Hayden Deegan for those wins. Really cool to see the Southwick sand and all the fun that was had there. But ready for Redbud, ready for the 4th of July week. Going to be a fun week of action in Sim all week long, and then obviously the Redbud National on the weekend. So hopefully you guys will join us for all of our stuff over there on Start Your Systems TV YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to that, as well as Start Your Systems YouTube main channel, where we're putting up more docu-series. A lot of fun going on over there. But thanks, guys, for tuning in to another video here on the Kellen SYS channel. Hopefully you enjoyed it, as always, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.